With the hero of time finally awakened, adult Link rides Epona, and our quest is laid out before us to enter the 5 temples and awaken the sages to fight alongside us. But before we do that, I thought, let's head to Lake Hylia, because there's something I want to unlock before we head back to Link's home, back to the Kokiri Forest, to see how that's changed in 7 years' time. But yeah, obviously, let's get off Epona. Certain things have changed in Lake Hylia since we've last visited 7 years ago. The lake has drained. There's only a tiny little pool of water at the bottom now, which isn't good. And as we travel around the various regions, we'll see the different changes that have happened in Hyrule. But first, we wanted to talk to this guy. Hey, aren't you the fairy buddy I met a long time ago? Wow, you grew, dude. Well, here's your song. What? No, I never forget. You're the one who forgot, aren't you? If you have an ocarina, play that song, baby. So 7 years ago, we played... Hey, it's the ocarina, play that song with it, baby. We played a song for this scarecrow, and this will unlock a huge amount of shortcuts in the future. And I think I did Goron's Lullaby, if I can remember it. Yeah. And it even remembers like the tempo you played the song with, which for me wasn't quite as good as the actual Goron's Lullaby, but it'll work. Oh yeah, that's it, that's the tune, you rock, I'm blown away. Oh, no, I didn't forget the song, I never forget anything, but I just feel like rewarding you, baby. I have a good idea. My buddy Pierre is wandering around, so play that tune when you want to call him. I'll tell him to help you if he's nearby and if he hears that song, baby. Awesome. So, that's what we wanted to do at Lake Hylia. No, actually, I can show it off straight away. Over here, I did plant a magic bean, which has now grown into this little, this magic plant, which if we step on it, I believe we did this last episode anyway, we showed one of these plants. So you can do that, and it'll take you on a little ride, and eventually let you access the roof. But this is a weird... Okay, hello, Gwei. But this is a weird one. Well, there's two ways to get up there. So you see Navi's flown up to the roof and turned green, meaning if we take out our ocarina and we go... There you go. Had to think about that one. And if we play the Goron's Lullaby, our Scarecrow song, Pierre appears. And now we've got the hook shot. We can... Or maybe... Do I need to be closer? Again, I always misremember what things you need... the long shot for. I don't think you do for this, right? Either way, we can just use the beam plant if we want. Maybe you do need the long shot. Oh no, there you go. All good. So yeah, it's a weird one where you don't actually need that magic beam plant. And there's quite a few of those where they're... Oh, no! I heard the combat music and I thought I had time. Right, I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna use this. And hopefully the Gwei's gone. I heard the combat music and I thought I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just going to climb. Oh, no. No way! Okay, right, we're going to have to deal with this guy. And the bean's gone as well. Right, this has been a bit of a blunder. Am I close enough? Or do I have to wait for the bean? Because I don't have the bow. I can't just snipe these Gweis. They need to be relatively close for me to hit with the hook shot. So I'm going to wait. You come close. Where are you? I can hear the music! There you go. These things terrify me. Okay, right. Come on, face me. Okay, I'm just going to... Just use the trusty sword. There we go. But now, we'll heal in a very efficient way, actually, because at the top of the lake scientist's house, got another piece of heart. Wicked. Our 23rd. Awesome. So we're very close to another heart container. That's going to hurt me, isn't it? Yeah, very well. But yeah, let's grab Epona. There are obviously more things we can do here, but let's head over to the Kokiri Forest, because I'm interested to see what's happened to our home during the 7 years of Ganondorf's reign. Let's not run into a wall. Because obviously Castletown is the most obvious example of the world really coming to ruin under Ganondorf's reign. The effects of having a mad evil king ruling the world can be seen in all different areas across Hyrule, just in different ways. And while I think it's still you know, it hits hard to see Lake Hylia drained, and eventually when we head to Death Mountain, etc. But there's something about seeing Kokiri Forest affected by it that hits... Okay, right, I mistimed that. That hits really hard. I think it's very much like at the end of the Fellowship of the... No, not Fellowship. At the end of The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Not the film, but the book. There's an event called the Scouring of the Shire, where Saruman, under a name Sharky, heads to the Shire, and he enslaves the hobbits, and it's very, very horrible. And it's kind of this idea that even the most peaceful, purest place in Middle-earth hasn't escaped the effects of the War of the Ring and is scarred permanently by it. And while this isn't permanent, while Link, the hero, will eventually save the Kokiri Forest, what we see when we enter, it still hits hard in very much the same way as the Scouring of the Shire. So here we go. Yeah, immediately, we've got this. We've got a big Deku Baba, which is, well, it does what it says on the tin. You can just let them hit you, or get hit by it, sure. Yeah, take some damage. But we get 3 Deku Nuts for that. But yeah, the Kokiri Forest is infested with monsters. So we don't get to hear the beautiful music as often, because we get interrupted by these horrible combat music notes. You see over there on the path to the Deku Tree, there's a Skulltula. There's Octoroks in the ponds. And I don't believe there are any Kokiri outside in this future timeline. That might be wrong, but I don't think there are. Go on, shoot me. But yeah, Kokiri are kind of sheltering in their houses. So let's, like we've done a few times, let's just talk to whoever we can talk to. So who's in here? So this is, was it Saria's house? I can't remember. Yes, this is Saria's house, which I think even this sign says. Yeah, Saria's house. And in here we can replenish our hearts as well and talk to this girl. Have you been travelling around much, mister? Have you ever met a boy named Link? Mido, or Mido? I'm never too sure. Let's go Mido. Mido said that the Great Deku Tree withered because that boy did something wrong to it. Only Saria defended Link until she left. Maybe we misunderstood. So, even though we are Link, the Kokiri don't recognise us because they believed that Link was one of them. All but Saria, who had kind of an inkling that there was something different about Link. But we've grown up, we're an adult, which the Kokiri don't do. So even though we look a bit like Link, we're wearing the same green tunic of the Kokiri, they don't think we're the same person. They can't understand the fact that we've grown up. Who's in here? Haven't I seen you somewhere before, mister? So she recognises us, but still hasn't put 2 and 2 together. Speaking of... Okay, right. Come here. Oh, what's Navi saying? Nothing, she's gone. Just going to get this guy out of the way. Let's do the shop first. But I was going to say, speaking of areas that have become infested, let's go see the Great Deku Tree in a second. So in the shop, I don't think the shopkeeper has extra dialogue. We sell shields, but not swords. To these two. Hi, mister. You can't use a Deku shield. It's only for kids. You can buy arrows at the shop only if you have a bow. Have you got one, mister? Not yet. Let's head over to the Deku Tree. Let's not get Octorocked. I believe these guys, as with everything in this game, my favourite item, we can just Deku Nut them, which makes them a lot easier to kill. And we get a Deku Stick for it. These, as well, have become much easier as Adult Link, because you can just hookshot them. You don't even need to wait for their weak spot. You can just go straight through the carapace, I suppose. Carapace? Do spiders have carapace? I don't know. You can punch through it. Well, anyway, I don't think hookshot works on these, does it? Oh, okay, so it stuns, same as the Deku Nut. That is actually easier than whatever I was doing the first time I came in. But actually, yeah, without killing them first. Okay, thanks, Navi. Yeah, the Deku Tree's meadow is absolutely infested with these. And obviously, you know, back in the child era... okay, I've figured out the weakness of this now. I am going to Deku Nut them. In the child era, when we... Awesome. When we first headed to the Deku Tree, there was a few of these small Deku Babas. But now you see the meadow is completely infested with these huge ones. And the Deku Tree himself, even his mouth now is closed. You know, just to stop Adult Link going into the dungeon, I assume, from like a gameplay point of view. But from, you know, a lore and world building perspective, we can assume that maybe the Deku Tree's withered even more to the point where his mouth has closed. A bit of a sort of rigor mortis sort of thing. I don't know if spiders have carapaces, and I don't know if trees get rigor mortis, but you know, that sort of thing is kind of dried up even more. What about bombs? Can we bomb these guys? I bet you can. Okay, maybe not with a throw like that. Let's have another go. But actually, oh wow, okay, that was sick. I'm going to head into the shop. Actually, no, I don't need to head into the shop because it was my last point of exit. But what I was going to do, so I was going to change it to night, just because there is an extra sculpture that we can get in this adult-era Kokiri Forest by playing the Sun Song. I believe it's up on this this Y-shaped house over here, which is I've always quite liked. I don't think I talked about this before. Forgive me if I have, but this is the twins' house. You see, House of Twins. Sorry, and because of that, it's like a double tree. Okay, yeah, this has been. This whole episode is exposing my lack of biology knowledge. Whatever this sort of tree is where it splits into two. Makes sense for the House of Twins, either way. But let's line up this shot. Again, this is stuff that gets far, far easier when we have a longer hook shot. But for now, we can grab it. Nice. Which is our 45th. And let's see what's in the House of Twins. Oh, this is where this girl was, of course. Yeah, I don't know where the twins themselves are in the future timeline. We checked Saria's house. I don't think there's anything that happens in our house, in Link's house, in this adult timeline. Let me have a look. I'm actually not too sure. There's still Link's drawing. That was okay. That was some crazy reach by this Deku Baba. Come on. I'm getting smacked by these. Okay, let's head up. I don't think anything changes here, but I suppose we can show off that the scoreboard. Again, I can't remember if I did that. Link looks so much bigger than he did back at the start of the game. But yeah, everything else is all the same. What's in our pots? It's our stuff, so very nice. And yeah, this shows off the scores. Spider squished 45, largest fish £11, and then we haven't done any of those mini games yet, but they'll be recorded there too. Let's not get Big Deku Baba'd again. A couple more houses to do. Just pick up on a little bit more lore. I'm saving the Know-It-All Brothers house for last, because I think that's the most interesting one. These look like the twins. And are they... He looks like he's still trying to pick up the stone. I'm not sure if that's a thing. And like, he's still trying to cut the grass. I don't know if that's the case in the actual game, or perhaps that's an issue with the version that I'm running. Either way, let's talk to them. I see. You didn't have any problems entering the forest, mister. Did the meanies out there bother you much? Before the Great Deku Tree died, you wouldn't see things like that around here. Since it's dangerous outside, I always stay inside my house. But I'm bored to death in here. Why is that fairy following you around? You're not one of us. So, a little bit of interesting lore there, that the Great Deku Tree is not only the father of the Kokiri, in that he kind of spawned these miniature forest spirits, but he also protects the Kokiri. So the fact that the Great Deku Tree has died is the reason that we've got all these creatures that have spawned here. Because it is notable that these are forest creatures. You know, they're mad scrubs or mad shrubs, big Deku Babas, Skulltulas, even Octoroks, I suppose as well. They're all creatures of the forest, but they're kind of like the wild, dangerous elements of the forest. Rather than like being kind of explicitly Ganondorf's stuff, this is kind of, you know, a situation where you have this Kokiri Forest as this haven, this area of safety inside an area which is quite dangerous. You know, the Lost Woods, they act as a barrier to deter outsiders. We know that children who become lost, if they're not Kokiri, they become Skull Kids. So there is a darker side to this area, and it seems without the benevolent guardianship of the Deku Tree, this is the kind of this is the result, which is pretty horrible, pretty spooky. But this, the Know-It-All Brothers house of the Know-It-All Brothers, is where we get some really interesting dialogue that's actually left over from an earlier build of the game. And you'll see what I mean when I talk to them. Since the Great Deku Tree withered, more minis... Okay, that's more about what I was talking about. That wasn't it. But it's these two, I believe. An evil wind is blowing from the direction of the forest temple. Saria left, saying, I have to do something about it. The forest temple is located in the sacred forest meadow in the far side of the Lost Woods. Where's Saria? Do you know Saria, mister? That's weird. Where is Mido gone during such an emergency? Okay, so it's this guy at the moment, but there's more dialogue after the forest temple, and he won't say it again. It's very interesting that he says that an evil wind is blowing from the forest temple. And when we complete the forest temple, I'll come back and I'll talk to him, because then he says, I believe, something along the lines of a fair wind is blowing from the forest temple. Which sounds like nothing particularly important. Maybe it's a slightly poetic way of kind of pointing out the corruption that has taken root in the forest temple. But in earlier builds of the game, the forest temple was a wind temple rather than forest. So I think that that dialogue there is probably a leftover from that time, which is cool. And as we go through, I'll point out more things where you can kind of see that the forest temple was once a wind temple. But we're in the Lost Woods, and one of the Know-It-All brothers mentioned that Mido has disappeared in this time of emergency. When we head through here, we find Mido doing what he does best and blocking us from proceeding. What are you? Though you wear Kokirish, that's an interesting word, Kokirish clothing, you can't fool me. I promised Saria I would never let anybody go through here. Well, if we whip out the ocarina and play Saria's song so he understands that we're a friend of Saria's. That melody? Saria plays that song all the time. Do you know Saria? That song. Saria taught that song only to her friends. Okay, I trust you. When I see you, I don't know why, but I remember him. I think that's the only line of dialogue he'll give after that. He has different dialogue later after the Forest Temple, but again, it's interesting that he remembers Link when he sees us, but it's such kind of an impossibility in his mind for, this race of, let's not whip that out, this race of perpetual children. They just don't understand that one of them, or someone they believed was one of them, could grow up. So it's not kind of like a, why don't they realise that Link is, standing in front of them? It's just a complete impossibility for them. But either way, if we head through here, back to this meadow, where we found the forest stage in the past. We planted another bean. So let's just get up here to another Skulltula, which is always good. Nice that we can just one-hit them now with the Master Sword, which I believe is twice the damage of the Kokiri Sword, which is really cool. And let's not lose my bearings. I think we go up and left. Don't reset? Okay, cool. I didn't know if I'd taken a wrong turn there. But this is where we've been heading to. The Sacred Forest Meadow. But before we do that, I actually just want to drop a bomb here. I realised in the last episode that I had a sound effect playing when the Stone of Agony would rumble. So I've turned that off, so now it'll just be rumbling for me, in case that was a little bit distracting. But this is one of the game's secret grottos. And the reason I want to show this off, it's not something that you need to do because it doesn't have a permanent collectible in like a Skulltula, but it's one of the strangest places in Ocarina of Time. You see, it's got this stone floor and stone ceilings, very kind of shrine-like stone, but then the walls, even though they're shaped like you'd expect from just a cave, they're this bizarre texture. All these kind of refracted light of greens and blacks and blues and reds, and as we move, they shimmer and shift as we walk around the room. And in here there's just two Wolfos, just like there were at this point in the past. When we first arrived at the Sacred Forest Meadow, there was one Wolfos we had to fight to get through the gate. So maybe this is a Wolfos burrow or something. I don't know, are these a different one? Of these? Was the one, maybe the one we fought first was a white Wolfos? I can't remember. But either way, these take a couple of hits. But I think, again, we could do some... Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do some Deku Nutting, why not? See, they're very nice when you actually use them correctly rather than misinputting. But now we've grown our C buttons, we're all good for that. And yeah, you get 50 rupees, so pretty good, you know, nice little rupee cash. But yeah, the reason I like coming down here is because of how strange it is. I don't know what... Yeah. Bizarre. I don't know why the walls in here are this way. It's the only place that's like this in the whole game. Very strange. But here we are in the Sacred Forest Meadow, which, if you remember in the past era, was infested with mad scrubs. These days, in the future, thank you Navi, is infested with slightly stronger enemies. Is there one on this? Yeah. These guys, Moblins. Which is the only appearance of Moblins in Ocarina of Time, which is weird considering they're one of the most iconic Zelda enemies, you know, going all the way back to Zelda 1. But if we... I'll just get hit deliberately, yeah. If we're in its way, it will charge us with its spear, which is pretty scary. And you see there... I think this is the last appearance in the Zelda series of dog-like Moblins. So there's kind of a split. Some Moblins, such as the ones in Zelda 1, obviously, and Ocarina of Time. And I think actually, to be fair, Link's Awakening, maybe? I'm not too sure. Either way, there's dog Moblins and pig Moblins in different games. So like the Wind Waker or Breath of the Wild definitely fall under pig Moblin territory. Whereas these have the face of a bulldog, like they did in the original artwork and stuff for Zelda 1, which is kind of interesting. But one of the reasons I wanted to head to Lake Hylia at the start is because Navi turns green up here. So if I... okay, I got too carried away there. I just went... there you go. Went too fast and muddled the notes. But yeah, if we play the Scarecrow's song, our good friend Pierre, the Travelling Scarecrow, appears. And we could use him to kind of skip the whole forest maze. So I probably... I'll go down and do it properly, but I just wanted to show off that you can just skip the whole thing with the Scarecrow song. I will actually grab this gold Skulltula while I'm up here. Get the token. Yeah, so I'll go... Whoa! Let's not do that. That's what I wanted to do. I'll go down, I'll do the maze properly. But yeah, cool little secret. You know, rewards you for kind of going out of your way, because the game very much points you, after Kakariko, to the Forest Temple. But... yeah, there are kind of a few instances throughout Ocarina of Time where it does reward you for doing things out of order and kind of exploring. Because it's a lot less linear than people think it is. So for this playthrough, I'm going to be doing kind of what feels like the intended order. So, you know, a bit like how Tears of the Kingdom pushes you to the Wind Temple first. Ocarina of Time definitely pushes you towards the Forest Temple. But you really don't have to do it first. So if any of you watched the Zeldudes playthrough I did, there you go. We did the Fire Temple before the Forest Temple, which is completely fine. You know, there's no issues with doing that. There's, I think, the dungeon map you have to go slightly out of your way to get in the Fire Temple, because you do need the bow, which is the item from the Forest Temple. But yeah, you can do various dungeons out of order. Although I think the Water Temple, you do need the bow, so it's kind of one of those that you have to do a bit of the Forest Temple and then go back, and you know, which feels a little bit muddy. But then Spirit and Shadow you can do in either order as well. In fact, it's a little bit confusing on which is the actual order that the game feels like it's pushing you towards. But yeah, it's a pretty non-linear thing, Ocarina of Time. Especially, obviously, the second half. But yeah, we want these guys to turn away. You can kill these guys in one hit with... Whoa, I threaded the needle through the armpit there. Don't want to think too much about Moblin's armpits. It's not a great place to be. Yeah, you can kill these guys with the Master Sword. Also one hit. Oh, I forgot there's a guy there. But it's easier just to wait for them to turn around and then hook shot them in the back. They don't have the best memory, these guys. It's a bit of a... you know, a Skyrim thing, like, must have been the wind. They see you go complete frenzy mode, charge you, and then immediately turn around and forget you ever existed. But yeah, one more on this final trek before we get kind of a boss. Well, maybe not. I could have sworn there's a Moblin on this. Does he? Maybe this one's got a longer path. Yeah, there's one here. Maybe he comes all the way around here. Either way, we can ignore that one. But yeah, we get kind of a boss. Like, there were 2 mad scrubs in the past, but now there's this one giant moblin here who's pretty terrifying, but not too difficult if you kind of go left, right, zigzag, you know, do what Rickon should have and avoid that. We can get behind him, and then he's just stuck. He can't turn around, so we can take our time to, you know, do whatever we want to, you know, to kill him this way. Whoa, okay. I'm glad it did kill him there, because I went through his legs. And we'll get some rupees for that. And here we go. We can return to Saria. Thank you. We can return to Saria's secret place. The forest temple that we visited 7 years ago. Let's do it. The flow of time is always cruel. Its speed seems different for each person, but no one can change it. A thing that doesn't change with time is a memory of younger days. In order to come back here again, play the Minuet of Forest. So this song here is another kind of clue towards the Forest Temple's original identity as a wind temple, because if you played the Wind Waker, when I play through that, the very end of this song. So I'm not gonna talk over this in a second. This bit. So if you played the Wind Waker, you might recognise that as the end of the Ballad of Gales, the Warp Song. Which, you know, if the name didn't give it away, Gales, it spawns a tornado to carry you around the Great Sea. So yeah, that's another possible hint at the wind identity of the temple. Link, I'll see you again. And just like with Sheik, she is Sheik. He is Sheik. Just like with Impa, Sheik throws a Deku Nut and is immediately gone. But we kind of have to believe that that works in the same way that we've been Deku Nutting people. You know, we throw a Deku Nut, an enemy will turn blue and freeze, and we can kind of attack during that the time that they're frozen. So I think we have to imagine that Link is frozen. He's stunned, and then, from our perspective, it's instant. But in reality, Sheik would have, walked away or something while Link was stunned, and risked, flashbanging the hero of time just for aura purposes. But with the Minuet of Forest learned, we can return to the Sacred Forest Meadow whenever we want. Here is obviously the tree stump where Saria used to sit, but she's gone. She's nowhere to be found. And again, I just love this place, because it's just one of the most satisfying things in Ocarina of Time, where I mentioned this when we learned this in episode 4, but you come to this area, you meet Saria, and it's just so fascinating, so eerie and foreboding. These huge stone ruins in the middle of the forest, it kind of evokes all these questions like, what was this place? Why is it here? How long has it been abandoned? But as a child, you can't reach it. And then returning as an adult with the hookshot from Dampe, we're able to climb to the doorway that loomed over us in the past and step forward into the Forest Temple. Now, this is, without a doubt, my favourite Zelda dungeon of any of them. And that's for a ton of reasons that I'll talk about as I play through this thing. But I'd be lying if I said the main reason that I love this place so much wasn't the atmosphere. It's one of the strangest, most weirdly beautiful tracks in any Zelda game. This haunting melody. And there's something so... I think it's in The Name of the Wind, which is a pretty great book. Shame there's no third book. And by Patrick Rothfuss. And there's a quote in it where the main character, Quoth, finds a kind of an underground city beneath the university he's at. And there's a quote in it, a line that I love, and it's, "There's nothing so delightfully mysterious as a secret in your own backyard." And I think that applies so much to why I love this forest temple, because it's a secret in Link's own backyard, a place we're so familiar with from the child era, a place we visited as a child. And we could see it, but we couldn't reach it, and now here we are. Not only are they these incredible, foreboding stone ruins looming over us, there's a full dungeon that was waiting there just out of our reach, which I just absolutely adore this place. And again, put another mark up on the tally or whatever for how many times I've mentioned this. I just cannot wait for this place in the remake. If they can do anything, to even come close to capturing this same atmosphere, which I'm sure they will. I've got so much faith that they'll do this justice and capture the atmosphere of this place. But yeah, we can grab a Skulltula there and open this for a small key, which is the first one we've gotten in this this whole LP. Because it's something that I didn't actually realise the penny didn't drop until someone pointed it out to me in like a YouTube comment or something. But yeah, Child Link never gets small keys. That's an adult era thing, which kind of helps differentiate the dungeons. But yeah, in case you can't already tell, I'm not going to be rushing my way through this dungeon. I'm going to be taking a lot of time to soak this up. As I said, like, this is my final playthrough of this game on the Nintendo 64 version. At least for now. Like, I'm obviously going to come back to this, even when the remake exists. But yeah, I just want to take my time in here. You see this like stone corridor, but even in here, the forest is within as well as without. It's like these stone ruins are kind of slowly being consumed by the forest around it. It's this kind of like man versus nature theme throughout. It's brilliant because it does the thing that Zelda does best, I think. Part of why I think Zelda lore and Zelda theorizing is so fascinating is because rarely does it ever give you proper answers for anything. It kind of lets the player imagine what they think the truth is behind these places, and the Forest Temple just really, really, really does that so well. It's such an inviting, exciting mystery. It invites you to kind of come up with your own ideas about this place. And throughout, I'll talk a little bit about what developers have said about the Forest Temple. But yeah, there's no kind of concrete evidence, no concrete truth behind what it is. It's just it's a mystery. But if we head through this door, we'll reach the main chamber. So the 4 flames that were used to activate the lift in the center have been stolen by 4 Poes, the Poe sisters. And this is an incredible room. You see this very high dome ceiling, very much like the Master Sword's chamber, actually, with vines creeping within. And I think this place is absolutely beautiful on the 3DS remake as well. But there's something about the original Nintendo 64 version. Here, the textures and the way kind of in the distance you get this kind of slight bluish fog. Just really goes a long way to sell the atmosphere of this place. Thank you. Okay, right. I was just pressing the wrong button there. See, even with the C buttons on, you guys aren't escaping the classic misinputs that have become such a thing throughout this playthrough. Only one more gold Skulltula till we hit 50, which is kind of the main goal if you're not going for 100%. 50 is the last proper reward you get. Wow, I'm messing that one up. But yeah, that was a bubble. It's not the last one we'll see, so I'll get Navi to examine one of them. But yeah, they're throughout. Because this isn't just an abandoned mansion, abandoned stone house, castle, manor house, whatever you want, in the middle of the forest. It's also haunted, so it's filled with Stalfos and bubbles and Pose, various kinds of the undead. But you see up here, this is the symbol of the forest temple. This is the forest medallion, which, if you bear in mind that this was originally a wind temple, kind of resembles a fan. So, it's another little clue here. But if we head through here, we get one of the first mini-boss fights. And it's, I believe, our first Stalfos fight, which is awesome. Okay, well, immediately got jump attacked. But yeah, they're some of my favourite enemies in Ocarina of Time. I think the combat is something that I would like the remake to maybe address a little bit, because, for the time, this combat was absolutely incredible. But it does feel a little bit dated these days. And, perhaps the combat could be looked at slightly in a remake. But still, I think the Stalfos, the Iron Knuckles and whatever, I think they're still really satisfying to fight today. Let's actually see what Navi says. Stalfos, lure it close to you and watch its movement carefully. Attack it when it drops its guard. So no lore again there. But there is actually quite a lot of lore on Stalfos in Ocarina of Time. I'm actually not going to kill him. I'm just going to let him hit me. Not let him hit me. Let him circle me while I kind of talk about the lore. Because they're pretty creepy, and they're these kind of skeleton warriors. You see, they're armoured skeletons. But later on in the game, just as the Skull Kids are said to be the what happens to children who become lost in the Lost Woods, Stalfos are what become of adults that are lost in the Lost Woods. Then there's some extra, I think it was in an interview with, it could have been one of the character designers for Ocarina of Time, but he said that not only do people become Stalfos when they're lost in the Lost Woods, they go to live at the Forest Temple, which is really interesting. It gives kind of a little, an extra purpose for this place. It is this kind of house of the dead in the forest where, those lost souls become, well, they come to haunt this place for all time, I guess, which is interesting. Small key from that, but it doesn't tell us exactly what. Yeah, I thought that was a fairy there. We've got one, we're fine. Doesn't tell us what this place was originally built for, because you can't really assume it was built as a house of the dead. But perhaps it's just taken on that role later on. Actually, yeah, I can navi this bubble. Blue bubble, guard against its blue flame with your shield. Yeah, these guys are just more annoying than anything. So like, you can knock the flame off them, but then they're just really annoying to hit. Yeah. But yeah, what the Forest Temple was actually once used for, what it was built for, who lived here before it became this haunted ruin, is one of the great mysteries of this place. You see, there's this symbol throughout where you can see it's got wings. There's kind of two wings either side of what could be a sword behind a shield, perhaps. So, maybe there was some connection with the Hyrulean royal family or another, perhaps, military faction. But again, it's kind of left open for interpretation. But if we go this way, we get another one of these. Another Song of Time block, which, like I explained in the last episode, with the Song of Time, we'll be sending to the past. And this is one where it's like a very explicit example of one that mechanic is just being used in a weird way in this game, because you can't visit the Forest Temple as Child Link. But if I did use cheats or something to get back here as Child Link, there'd be a Song of Time block now in this place, which is just fascinating. But if we head through this door, we head to my favourite places in the dungeon. I'm going to get rid of this guy first. I'm going to bomb him, actually. That was fun. Oh, okay, right. He didn't... Did I... Yeah, I hit him in the head last time. Okay, nice. But if we collect some Deku Nuts... I'm going to kill this guy, actually, because we want to absorb the atmosphere. We don't want combat music. Okay, there you go. Now we're alone. We can examine this place. So this is one of two courtyards in the Forest Temple. So we've actually stepped outside. So if we look up, see the open sky above. Which I don't really quite have the words for the emotions that this makes me feel coming out of the Forest Temple and seeing the sky above, and there's these crenellations up there on the top of the walls that I guess perhaps could also be used to suggest that the Forest Temple did have a military purpose, or at least was built to be easily defended, in case of in case it was attacked. You know, crenellations here are obviously used for like archers along the walls. But yeah, look, coming out of these, you know, deep haunted stone ruins into a courtyard where you can see the blue sky, and it kind of, you know, makes me wonder, because you lose a sense of geography walking into this place, you know, into these stone ruins that seem to just kind of be going on forever, these sprawling, ancient, forgotten hallways. But now you come out and you see the sky. It's just beautiful. I absolutely love these courtyards. But yeah, this is one of two, and they're connected by this, a well. And this won't be the first time that we're going to go to the bottom of the well. Obviously, we can't do it at the moment because, yeah, it's flooded. But we'll find a way later on to drain the well. But before we do that, we're going to head over here and climb this vine. Let's get rid of these skull vultures. Yeah, again, this combat music is interrupting one of my favourite, probably my single favourite Zelda dungeon theme as well. Like I said, that's one of the reasons that I love this whole place so much, is the atmosphere, and the music just goes so far to... Can I get this guy, or do I have to... Yeah, maybe I can't. Maybe I need the dungeon items again. That's fine. We can just avoid him. And yeah, so the music for this place, I think I mentioned it inside the Deku Tree, but there's a few audio libraries that Koji Kondo drew from to create a lot of the music in this game. So throughout the Forest Temple, there's that strange sound that kind of seems like, you know, a chanting voice. It's very hard to describe. But yeah, that's kind of from an audio library. That noise there. But underneath... It's gone now. Now you get these kind of like rattling sounds. Again, perhaps like something rattling in the wind. This ambient choir. It just... it all comes together to create such a perfect atmosphere. But... here is the dungeon map, so we can see the layout of this place here. You can see it is kind of a symmetrical, or at least some of it is, mansion in the woods. No, I'm all good, didn't want to save. Well, let's head through here. Back out into the other courtyard, see they're connected by those rooms. And here we have a normal Deku Baba, which is, you know, always quite funny when you see this guy as Adult Link, because it's smaller than us, compared to those huge ones, which are pretty creepy. Which there's one down there. Those ones are tiny. But yeah, let's get rid of you, and we'll Spider-Man our way over here, and hit the switch, which drains the well. So again, this connects the two courtyards, which, you know, will allow us to jump through. You see over here, Navi turns green up on that ledge, which I don't think we can do anything about yet. I don't think there's a way to reach that until we come back. But yeah, that's another Pierre location. So I'm going to jump down here into this water, not get hit by a Deku Baba or an Octorok, hopefully. Whoa, okay. Shall I bomb this? I'm not gonna waste all my bombs on this guy. I think you just... Okay, well. I just pro'd that one. But I think I was going to say you can just let it hit your shield and then hit it back. They're far easier enemies than I'm maybe making them seem. But yeah, we also saw a gold sculpture there, which you do have to line up this one. Yeah, you can hookshot a chest, which isn't really a mechanic that's used too much throughout Ocarina of Time. Whenever I think of that, you know, hook-shotting a chest, I always think of the Stone Tower Temple in Majora's Mask, where that is actually kind of an essential mechanic. You need to do that at the end, hookshot a chest to kind of reach an otherwise inaccessible area. But yeah, speaking of incredible dungeons with incredible atmospheres, that's definitely high up on my list as well. Yeah, let's jump down the well. Okay, so this place as well, it's kind of got this, you know, very strange aura about it. Again, like I was saying, with this kind of greyish blue fog. And then the walls in here are just kind of a, you know, texture of bricks. This place has always felt very Mario 64 to me. I mean, especially this tunnel, especially the well. Did I miss the chest? I don't even remember. Oh, the chest is the other side, yeah. Especially this well feels very Mario 64. Oh, there it is. It was camouflaged in the fog. And actually, yeah, that's an incredible looking area. You see there's like the rays of sunlight coming in, and then this grate where this underground river disappears off to. Which is, yeah, very cool. This whole place feels very Mario 64 in general. You know, when I was younger, I kind of always like to imagine that this is kind of a place a bit like Princess Peach's castle in that game, but abandoned. You know, what Princess Peach's castle would look like if it was forgotten and, you know, consumed by the forest. And to be fair, there is perhaps some truth to that idea in a roundabout way. I'm going to just ignore you. So during development of Ocarina of Time, before they opted to go for this huge sprawling Hyrule that Link will adventure across, this kind of open world sort of thing, it was actually going to be very similar to Mario 64, where Link was going to be stuck in Ganondorf's castle. And I believe they even explicitly said in interviews, or maybe I've kind of maybe I'm exaggerating this slightly, but Link would enter other worlds or levels through paintings. I'm pretty sure the painting line is explicit. If not, the Ganon's castle thing is definitely true. But I've always thought, you know, perhaps the Forest Temple with all this, you know, incredible architecture, this kind of abandoned, essentially castle, which, as we'll see later on, has a huge emphasis on paintings, on magical paintings. What if this was the original Ganon's castle that Link would have kind of explored? Because it does, like I say, it does feel like Princess Peach's castle in Mario 64, just abandoned and haunted. But yeah, we've been on a little roundabout journey there, collecting a few small keys, because we need a few of them to make progress in this section of the dungeon. Let's get through that. I love these candles here. Just awesome. Peak vibes, that's the thing with this place. Which is something that Ocarina of Time does work. I tried to... Addy still got me, of course. Tried to hookshot him, but he beat me there. What's around this little corner? Nothing, just an interesting little bit. That's funny. I don't think I've been here before. This strange little area. Little, I don't know, backrooms-esque corner to nowhere. But yeah, this is one of the main puzzle rooms in the Forest Temple. This is a good old Zelda staple. This is a sliding block puzzle room, which this is one of the easiest ones in the game. I mean, I think, there you go, Navi even tells us there are arrows painted on the floor, so not too difficult to work out what to do in this part of the dungeon, but it's still quite cool. We'll be moving these giant stone blocks around to gain access to a higher level, to one of the coolest and definitely most iconic parts of the Forest Temple. Years ago, on my channel, I posted a theory on kind of my ideas for what the Forest Temple might have been used for, which, you know, as with every Zelda theory, I don't expect them to be true. That's not the point in theorizing about these things. Like I said when we first came into this place, Zelda never, or very rarely, gives you explicit answers for its mysteries. It just invites the player to kind of think about these places, rather than tell you exactly what they were. And that's kind of my philosophy with Zelda theories in general. When Tears of the Kingdom came out, which I love so much of Tears of the Kingdom, but then there's also so much that I don't love about Tears of the Kingdom. It's still something I'm conflicted on, because in so many ways it's like the best, most perfect game of all time, and then in other ways it's just like there's areas where I wish it was slightly different, or but either way, I occasionally got the comments saying, you know, you only don't like Tears of the Kingdom because it proved your theories false, which, you know, if you have a differing opinion to me on Tears of the Kingdom, that's completely fair enough. Everyone's entitled to, you know, their own takes, especially works of art like video games. You know, everyone's going to have different opinions. But especially with the theory thing, that's just not the case at all, because the point in cooking up Zelda theories isn't to be right. It's to... The developers give you a set of puzzle pieces, you know, these places and these mysteries. They set them up. And then the fun of it is just assembling these puzzle pieces in a way that kind of makes sense given the larger context of the world, is narratively satisfying, perhaps aims to answer some of the mysteries that they've put into the game. But it's never, the point is never to be completely right and, like, you know, solve it and everything like that, because that's not where the fun is, at least for me. The fun is just kind of putting things together in ways that I find satisfying. And I think that's one of the things with this. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but I originally posted a theory on my ideas for the Forest Temple. And later on we'll see kind of more of the evidence behind it. But the kind of spark notes of it is I kind of hypothesized that this place could be sort of a proto-earlier Temple of Time. Not exactly Temple of Time, but another gateway to the Sacred Realm. I'm sorry, I'm stalling because I want to talk about this next room when we go through. Because, you know, Ganondorf's power has been leaking out of the temples, which are, you know, gateways to the Sacred Realm, as we'll learn later on. It's not just the Temple of Time that is connected to this place where the Triforce lay. So I kind of hypothesized that perhaps the Forest Temple was originally a place that people used to gain access to the Sacred Realm before the Temple of Time was built, or kind of maybe before it was used more broadly. But let's head through here into the most iconic part of the Forest Temple. This corridor is all twisted. So not only is this an abandoned, haunted ruin, there's also this kind of non-Euclidean geometry here, where you get spaces that don't make physical sense. That kind of still blows my mind today, that this worked, you know, on the Nintendo 64, having the tunnel twisted. So, well, yeah, let's be very careful of the shadows of monsters that hang from the ceiling, because I do want to talk about stuff, but I don't want to get got. Will it get me here? It will. I hate these things. Yeah, this is a wall master that she's warned us about, which is a big hand that will grab us if we're not careful. So I don't want to let that get us. But really quick, I just wanted to point out there's a chest on the wall in this room. Because the corridor is twisted, we've come out on the wall, which is just awesome. But for now, we don't need to do anything in that room. We need to head through into here, where, see, there's an empty painting. Who would hang up a painting of a black void? I don't know. There's another one there. But here, there's a painting of one of the Poe sisters. And as we walk past, she laughs. If we head through here, we get the dungeon's second mini-boss, more Stalfos. So this is one of the more difficult fights in Ocarina of Time. And you'll see why in a second. Because this is a little taster. This is a Stalfos who cheats by, you know, pulling a wicked, I guess, and defying gravity. They can walk on that gap in the middle, but Link can't. So it's a little bit unfair originally at the very start, but this is fine. This is just one Stalfos, he says, getting hit. But in a second, we get a much more difficult version of this fight. One more? There you go. Okay, so now the floor drops, and in a second, two more Stalfos spawn, but these ones are more difficult because they can't be fully defeated unless they're both defeated at the same time, or near enough the same time. So what you have to do is you have to kind of fight both of them, you know, get both of them down to relatively low health, and then kill them both in kind of rapid succession. Otherwise, yeah, you just have to restart the fight, essentially. So I'm going to move off that one now, move on to this guy. Now I've damaged his brother. But this, you know, knowing what we know about the Stalfos, and with that kind of developer quote in mind about Stalfos coming to live at the Forest Temple, there's a kind of tragic element to what's going on here, where Link isn't just fighting anonymous skeleton warriors here in the Forest Temple. He's fighting people, you know, the lost souls of, you know, they could be Hylian adventurers who, you know, took a wrong step and ended up in the Lost Woods, and now haunt the Forest Temple for all time, which is, you know, pretty dark. There we go. Right, I took more damage than I wanted to there, but it's all good. It's not quite the same level as Redead's, but especially in that fight, I go a bit panic mode trying to kill them at the same time. But luckily, We've got a few pots of hearts here to replenish ourselves. And we do still have that fairy in a bottle, so we should be all good. But we've got a big chest here. You found the fairy bow. Proceed to take it out. So yeah, here we go. We've leveled up from the slingshot, and now we have a bow and arrow. We're actually going to backtrack a sec before we continue that way. Yeah, we're going to head back through here because we need to grab a couple more things before we proceed. Yeah, you can laugh at us, but we'll be back. We'll be back for you. But yeah, the fairy bow, really cool. Interesting that it's fairy bow, like fairy slingshot. You can assume they have a similar origin. Perhaps they're made from branches of the Deku Tree. I don't know. That'd make sense for the fairy slingshot, just like the Deku shield is and the Deku sticks. But these, I've always felt that the bow should one-hit these guys. It doesn't, but it does kind of, you know, send them flying. They kind of like get skewered by the arrow. But yeah, you still have to do 2 shots, which does feel strange. Come on. Come on. This is not pro shot. This is just me wasting all my arrows. Come on. And he's back up. He's made me... He's mugging me off, this guy. Come on, hit my shield. There we go. But with the bow, we can actually do something that we couldn't do before. Quickly, before I do that, though, I'm going to head down here because there was another one of those eye symbols, which, as Child Link, you know, we saw a couple of them, and we could ping them with the fairy slingshot, and they work the same way as Adult Link. We hit them with the fairy bow. So there's one here. You can hear ominous flapping. I'm getting flashbacks to the Gwei disaster at Lake Hylia, as it shall be known. Ah, okay. Bundle of arrows. I really thought that was something more important. Okay, that's fine. Let's head back up anyway. Yeah. Maybe not. Okay. Maybe, I don't know what I'm thinking. I've got mixed up on what was in that chest, but it's all good. We'll head back up and we'll shoot the eye in the big important room, which will, you know, do another very iconic thing for the Forest Temple. At least we've got no bubbles left in this room. If we hit that with a creak, the twisted corridor untwists. Does Navi tell us or not? No, she doesn't. At least she expects us that we can, you know, she has enough confidence in our intelligence there that we can work that out. But now, that chest that was on the wall, strangely before, we can open. And this is another thing we haven't seen before as Child Link, is these blue and gold chests, which contains boss keys. Now you can get inside the chamber where the boss lurks, which is really cool. I'm actually just going to wait a sec, because yeah, I want to show off this guy. Horrifying Wallmaster. Watch out for its shadow on the floor. Destroy it before it goes back up to the ceiling. Really, really creepy. They remind me of the, you know, the enemies from Elden Ring. I can't remember what they're called, but those things with all the rings on their fingers, you know, million crawling hand fingers. Horrible. There's something really unsettling about hands, you know, in that way, like, you know, just a big hand. I don't know why that's so scary, but it just is. I hate these guys with all of my soul. Come here. There we go. And worse, we were stuck in, you know, trapped in that room because of that. We'll have the arrows. Are there any pots or anything? No, nothing in this. I think this is kind of like meant to be a trap room. You know, if you accidentally fall down the hole, you end up in a room where you're trapped with some bubbles. But it's actually quite useful for us. It's a shortcut, and it brings us out up here with a Deku Baba. What does I wonder if the bow destroys these guys. It does. Very nice. And we'll grab some Deku Nuts for our trouble. But it's brought us out up here on this raised ledge, where I don't think I talked about it, but just, you know, that arch and kind of columns, like, you know, Greek or Roman sort of architecture is really cool here. But not only will it give us some hearts, which are good, because I got annihilated by some Stalfos. Got another Skulltula here. So I think... 51st, very nice. I think all adult dungeons have 5. Maybe there's 1 or 2 that are different. 5 Skulltulas hidden throughout, which obviously you want to grab, because you don't want to backtrack to these places if you can help it. But speaking of creepy hands, this is a Floor Master. So this is different to the ones that drop from the ceiling. Okay, did that go through my shield, or I was... Oh no, it didn't. I was just being bad. Go on, hit me again. But yeah, look at this. Look at the way it like crawls around. I think it's like the spider-like quality of it, perhaps, that's so creepy. But then it's not a spider because it's a hand. So there's some some kind of human element to it that, yeah, just absolutely horrifying. And then it splits up into tiny guys. It gives us a lot of magic for doing that, so that's good. But the reason we did that, again, another room that feels like a trap, but this is one we actually do want to go to, because it'll get us another small key. So there's a ton of these in this dungeon, and it's good to kind of, loop back and grab them all before we make the final push, because very soon we'll be embarking on kind of the final act of the Forest Temple, which is really cool, which is a ghost hunt. So those 4 Poe sisters stole the flames that let us, reach the bottom floor, and now. Okay, there's a bubble down there. Now we've returned. Now we've got the bow. Sorry, we can go ghost hunting, which is really cool. But let's head back up now. So I don't think there's anything to do in the main room yet. We'll loop back there anyway. This is one of those dungeons that I think perhaps is slightly confusing to some people on the first time they run through it. But as I find with most things in Zelda, it's one of those that kind of once you've been through it, once or twice, it just has this amazing kind of flow to it. I've always said, one of the things I love most about Ocarina of Time is the pacing of it and the way the game flows, so like from one sequence into another. And the Forest Temple, I think, kind of does the same thing. It's just really satisfying to play through. But yeah, can I just ignore these guys? I really can't be bothered. But we want to actually hit this eye to open it again and retwist the corridor. So we've done what we needed to do in there now. But we want to use it to get back to that middle area where there was the staircases full of ghosts. Now we've grabbed a couple of small keys so we can make our way all through the dungeon. So if we hop through here, not get wall mastered, yeah, we enter here again. So these paintings that previously we couldn't do anything with, you see there's 2 dark ones. There's a dark one on my left and one that is the true painting. And if we shoot them, they vanish. But if I got too close, the Poe sister vanishes from it and ends up in the other one. So that's why we need the bow for this. I suppose we just wouldn't be able to reach that with the sword. Does it? I don't think I've ever tried this. There's no way you can just... Yeah, okay. Can you hookshot it? No. Yeah, okay. You do need the bow, alright. But yeah, to do that, the Poe sister herself spawns, and she's gone downstairs. But yeah, like with the Super Mario 64 painting thing, yeah, ghosts hiding in magical paintings. There's also, a big ghost that will hide in magical paintings later on. But actually, I'm going to use Navi, because this is one of the Poe sisters called Joelle. And I'll get the rest of their names, because I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe it's Joelle... Is it Meg, Beth, and Amy? Maybe I'm misremembering one of them. But either way, they're the names of the sisters from Little Women, the novel, which is really cool. And there is a little bit of extra kind of lore. Again, you can debate how canon this is and how seriously you want to take it. But a character artist who worked on Ocarina of Time said he designed the Poe sisters and he gave them the names of the characters from Little Women because he wanted to humanize them. And the backstory he kind of, the headcanon, I suppose, that he had when he was designing them is that these were 4 sisters who worked as priestesses in the Forest Temple a long time ago before they died. And now they haunt the Forest Temple as spirits. So it's interesting that they're not... actually, to be fair, later on, the 4th of these sisters we'll find has a really kind of humanizing touch to her. Which we'll see later on. But it's interesting that they don't seem to be evil in that they're not creations of Ganondorf. They're perhaps something that, existed here even 7 years ago, when we only saw the looming ruins of the Forest Temple. which, you know, is really cool, really interesting lore. And circling back to the idea that this place, I don't think this is going to give me anything, is it? That this place could have been used as an entrance to the sacred realm in the past, which there's multiple things that make me believe that, but one of them is that it had priestesses in the past. It had the Poe sisters who worked here as priestesses, which, for a kind of a holy site like that, and one that's well defended with those crenellations and big walls and just being a big stone fortress, essentially, it does make you wonder. Am I too... Yeah, I thought I was too close. But I think you can kind of... Can you stand here and get all of them? Yeah, you can. I don't know which name each sister has. So let's see which one the blue one is. But all the fights, they all work the same, except for the last Poe sister, who has a slightly different battle. But yeah, these aren't too difficult. You kind of just hold out your shield, let them bash you, and then hit them. You can even kind of bully them into a corner, which I'll try and do now. Yeah, you can try to just do that, and then jump attack for double damage. So they're not really a boss fight, but again, you know, if we're to imagine that these aren't really evil, they're perhaps just defending the temple. Maybe this is what they were designed to do. Or, you know, that was one of their roles in life, and they're kind of just continuing that even in death. You know, kind of makes sense that they're not too difficult. The Stalfos, which again also I suppose have a kind of tragic backstory. They are slightly more difficult fights, and there's arrows stabbing through my compass. But yeah, that allows us now to see areas where there's chests. You see the chests have appeared on the map on the right side there, so we know where they are, and we can grab those. But actually, I did want to go at the bottom end of this, yeah, and head through. No, okay, I did want to go at the top. Of course I did. And getting muddled up these stairs. But yeah, really cool. And again, you know, you don't have to believe that stuff's canon, because it's not in the game itself. It's like a secondary source. You know, the people who worked on it said that, rather than kind of from actual clues within the game. But still, it's something interesting to bear in mind when you kind of think about this place and what your own personal theories are. But here we're in another of these twisting corridors. Let's not get got by a wallmaster, and we'll head back here. But at the moment it's straight, and we've got another type of bubble. This is a green bubble. Use your sword when its green fire vanishes. Which, oh no, these are weaker bubbles, so you know you can just straight up one hit these guys. So then, you know, they're not very intimidating. If we head through here, we have this, which is a really cool puzzle room. So the way they want you to do that is... Okay, thought I'd messed it up. So over here there's an eye, but it's frozen in a block of ice. So what they want you to do is do that and fire an arrow through the flame, and it'll be set on fire, which would allow us to... Okay, there you go. I was going to say, if it's going to take a while to line it up, the other thing you can do is just go up to the frozen eye and use Din's fire, which will just, you know, melt it as well. So you don't even have to play around with the fire arrow technique there. But still, I think that's really cool. Feels like a kind of, you know, Breath of the Wildy thing, even though that's something that's been used in like loads of 3D Zelda games, obviously way before Breath of the Wild. I still think it's quite cool. It's kind of using the physics of the world. But either way, doing that retwists this corridor, you know, which completely changes the layout of this room, which is awesome. So we can either use that door, or there's a hole in the floor. If we drop down, we end up here, which is a really cool place. So again, feels Mario 64-esque with the checkered floor, you know, like Super Mario Princess Peach's castle. But I just wanted to head out here, back into the courtyard through this door, which we could see but couldn't reach before, because you can we play Goron's Lullaby again, which will spawn our good pal Pierre. So this is just a little shortcut. There's not much point in doing this, but it would mean if we go back down there into the courtyard, we'd have an easy way to reach this area again, because obviously doing the whole twisting corridor thing makes it a little bit of a difficult place to reach. So it's a cool little shortcut to be able to do. But this room, either way, yeah, the ceiling falls down in this place, and this giant, you know, slab of stone falls. And if we line it up wrong, so if we wait somewhere like this, when the ceiling falls. So if we're not in the right place, we get kind of instant KO. The screen turns to black. So you kind of just have to line up where you are in this. But obviously some of the save squares have sculpture in, which isn't great. But doing that opens the end door. So I'm going to wait for the ceiling to drop again before I make the next run. And we should be able to dash all the way over to that chest before it drops again. And I can't remember what's in here. Anything good? No, that's what I couldn't remember. More arrows. But still, not complaining. Will become very useful later on. Well, to be fair, all throughout the game. I was thinking about the boss, but yeah, all throughout Ocarina of Time, the arrows are really interesting. So in here, we've got the third Pose Sister. Some weird-looking blocks hanging on the ceiling up there. And of course, a big painting of one of the sisters. So if we shoot that, the blocks drop. So 4 of these are going to make the painting on the wall. And there's one dummy block. So the one I'm pushing away now, you can see there's a blue flame there. Whereas this sister has a green flame, so we know that's immediately wrong. So we're going to start piecing together the correct blocks to make a picture. So it's another, interesting thing that we've got kind of ghosts hiding in paintings, and I suppose even these blocks are kind of a different kind of painting. Which, like, perhaps it's a holdover from that early development version of Ocarina of Time, or maybe it's just something they thought would be cool. There's something kind of innately creepy a little bit about, old paintings in old houses, and especially a place like this. But yeah, when we do that, we spawn. I don't think I did the name of the last one, but either way, this is Amy. So the last one would have been Meg or Beth. I think Beth, because I believe Meg is actually the last one we'll face. I'll wait for it to materialise. I don't know, maybe it's 2 jump attacks to do, which would make the fights a little bit quicker. You gonna go again? And bam. Oh no, maybe 3 jump attacks then. They're pretty tough. Because we want your flame. Come on, give us the green flame. Wham. And off she goes. Gives us some arrows for her trouble. Because I suppose actually, you can use the bow for that. I've always found it just much easier to just, hit them with the sword. Because if you're holding out your shield, they can't do anything. Whereas there's enemies like the Stalfos where they can hit you. Obviously, the bow completely destroys these guys, which is very funny. Like the Stalfos can sometimes get around your shield. They'll kind of jump over your guard or whatever. But, the Pose Sisters aren't one of them. But, speaking of that humanizing touch on one of the Pose Sisters, if we head out into the final room, or I suppose the main chamber again, we see in the middle of the room, the final one, Meg, crying, alone. And to be fair, she's got good reason to. We've killed her sisters, so she's understandably upset. Which is the other humanizing touch that the character artist, again I can't remember his name, I'll put it in the description or on screen, was talking about, which is that he made the final one, who I believe is Meg, weep in grief after losing her sisters. But yeah, as this is the final Pose Sister, there's a little bit of a different fight. This one we do need the bow for, where she spawns doppelgangers, spawns clones. Although this isn't too difficult, although I might have missed the first tell. Let's see. So she spins around you, but you're able to tell which one is the real one because she... Okay, there you go. I did miss the first tell. But she'll spin. The real one will spin while the others don't. So we'll see. When they respawn, you immediately get attacked. There you go. So it's this one, which I missed at the first time, so I wasn't aware which one it was. But yeah, not a difficult fight at all, even though I got hit. You just have to see the one that spins and shoot her with the bow. Which, yeah, feels bad, feels a bit grim, feels a bit sad. So this is the real one. I'm just going to navigate her. Meg, one of the Pose Sisters. If she splits into multiple images, you need to figure out which one is the real one. Is it this one? So this is Meg. So yeah, Meg, Joelle, Beth, and Amy. Which is cool. Okay, this one. Will this be it? I think this should be it. No, one more. Again, pretty tough. They may not do much damage, but they're pretty tanky, these ghosts. I suppose made of indeterminate ghost material. Maybe that's another failing of my biology. I don't know what ghosts are made of. But the fourth flame opens the final Final way through. A lift heading down into the bottom area of the temple, which I think we're ready. Let's head down. So you get a really weird area. You get this kind of merry-go-round sort of carpeted room. I don't really know. Again, I don't have words to describe what this place is, but it's cool. It's evocative for sure, with these kind of coloured carpets. And by spinning that, we can open various different ways through. So this is another thing that kind of, the first time you play through it, maybe you'd be a bit confused. But it's actually the easiest part of the dungeon, really. You just, in terms of puzzles, you just spin this, and each time you spin it, something new will have opened up. So there'll be a switch to press, or there's a gold sculpture in one of the rooms. I think that's now, is it? No, it's another switch now. But yeah, you just spin it once, counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, do the thing that has opened up, and then keep spinning until the way forward has revealed itself. So yeah, really not difficult. But cool, Again, it's kind of flexing what Ocarina of Time can do on the Nintendo 64. It can twist corridors. It can also have these rooms where you twist the whole room around, which is cool. And up here, we'll get our fifth gold sculpture throughout the dungeon, which is cool. Have I got all 5? I think so. There's the one outside, the one in the main room, this one, the one outside on the vines. Where was the 5th one? I can't remember. I feel like I've got all of them. I don't think I've missed them. Usually I kind of go in the same kind of way through this dungeon, like I said about a flow. Yeah, there must be... I can't remember what the last gold sculpture I got was, but I'm sure I got all 5. Either way, let's press this switch. If I have forgotten it, it's not the end of the world. I can just backtrack later on. But yeah, let's press on. So, one more spin of the room will reveal the final hallway, which this is something that I actually think the 3DS version did really well with. So when we head through... Okay, speaking of this place being so easy, you can't get confused. I think I've just spun it once too many times. I think the door had already opened up, had it then, and I'd gone through. Yeah, okay, awesome. Serves me right, I guess. I was too busy thinking about sculptures, trying to count in my head. But yeah, the final corridor... No, we've done that. Final corridor is in the 3DS version, has all these really interesting paintings hanging on the walls. And you'll see in this version, there's no paintings. Here we go. It's just kind of empty stone walls. It's still cool, still a cool area. With this kind of little roofed area. Still cool, but yeah, and in each of these... I don't know, there's some architecture word there that I don't know. Each of these areas between the pillars, there's a painting, which are really cool to see before we head through into the boss chamber, which is of course very closely linked with paintings. So with my original Forest Temple theory, suggesting that this was kind of a gateway to the Sacred Realm, and that's why it's so well defended, I kind of hypothesized that this would have been the doorway itself, because we'll see if we head in here, we get this hexagonal, or actually octagonal? Hexagonal, kind of, oh no, where the carpet's octagonal, I suppose, or maybe even more. But you get this kind of 6 triangles surrounding a mark of the Triforce, which could, evoke imagery of the sages themselves and the Chamber of Sages. And this room in general, I suppose this whole room is hexagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, very similar to the Master Sword's chamber in the Temple of Time. And we'll see, when we defeat the boss, that it is indeed a doorway to the Sacred Realm, which I thought was interesting. But you'll notice that no boss has spawned. We just walk into this chamber with these really eerie paintings on the wall, where you see a dark tower, a black castle up on the horizon, through these dark woods with a long winding path towards it, which is just awesome. But yeah, no boss, so I guess we can just leave. Except we can't, because Ganondorf himself has appeared. But it is not Ganondorf. It's an evil spirit from beyond, Phantom Ganon. And he rides through a dark portal into the painting and rides up the path towards his dark castle, which is so awesome. And you'll see now 2 Ganondorfs ride out of 2 paintings, and only one is the real one. And if you let him come through, he does a big lightning attack, which you can avoid completely by standing in any of the corners of the room. So it's not too difficult, this phase of the fight, but still so cool that you have him riding out of the paintings themselves. You see there's one here, which one's the real one? This one's the real one. Out he rides. I'll get Navi to read something about him. Phantom Ganon. Attack him when he comes out of one of the pictures. Watch out for the fake one. So again, no lore, but still. Really, really cool boss. And you know, such a great way to escalate from the Poe sisters. Which obviously, you know, were coming out of paintings. And now we have the boss himself, who is a phantom of Ganondorf doing the same. But yeah, if we shoot the real one, as soon as he's coming out of the painting, we can damage this phase of the fight. So where's he coming out? I've got this one and this one. Is this the real one? Nope, it's this one. Will I have time? No, I missed, but it's fine. Again, if you just stand in the corner, it's a little bit harder to line up, especially if they've spawned right next to you, but he can't damage you, so it's fine. So it's a very, very stress-free phase of the fight. So we've got one here. Where's the other? Ah, here. So it's this one. Got it. That was close. I think I had like a frame or 2 off. I'll stand on an opposite side to where the boss is coming out of, if I can. So there's one here and one there. Okay, this will be easy because I'll be able to have both on screen. This one's real. Line it up. Whoa, okay. He did well to avoid that one. Again, this is really one area where you realise just how fantastic motion control aiming is in modern Zelda games, where it's the micro adjustments that you can make with motion control aiming that I just love so much. But with Ganondorf out of the painting, we reach phase 2, which is, I don't think Navi says anything. It does. Phantom Ganon. It's an evil ghost of the Forest Temple. He comes out of one of the pictures. Answer his magic attack with an attack of your own. So an evil ghost of the Forest Temple, which is cool. But this phase of the battle is Dead Man's Volley, which is a Zelda staple. So it began all the way back in A Link to the Past with Aghanim. And the way it works is he sends a magic ball of lightning energy at us, and we don't do that. We send it back. And we'll have a little game of racquetball or something, and you know, until it hits him. So here we go. This could go on for some time. I don't know. Okay, I did it too. So you got to swing earlier than you think. So let's go again. I'm not sure why sometimes when he's low, it's like it doesn't send it right back at him. You've got to wait till he's high up in the sky. So, okay, let's go earlier than we think. So earlier. Alright, we're in... Oh, okay, I went too early there. He does a lot of damage when he hits you as well. Come on, go up high. We'll start our game again. But yeah, when we do this, when he's... if he gets hit by his own magic, that's when he becomes able to be hit by our sword. You know, we can jump in and deal some real damage, which is exactly how the Ganondorf fight works later on. The top of his castle. Okay, did some good damage there, and we go again. He does have another attack, but it's very rare, where he kind of gathers a lot of energy together. Oh wow, okay, nice. There's no Dead Man's Volley there. But he did recover quick from that one. That was interesting though. And this will be a proper... Yeah, Dead Man's Volley, when he's doing that, it's slower, and he's higher up, so we are actually reflecting it back at him. But that other... Awesome. That other one was like a lower attack, and I guess, happened to, you know, he happened to be in the firing line. Okay, let's not mess this up again. He does actually do a lot of damage. There we go. Will this be it? This might be it. It doesn't have a huge amount though. There we go, that is it. But yeah, he does have another attack, similar to Ganondorf himself, where he sends multiple beams of energy out. But we didn't see it in that fight. I don't know if there's a specific trigger.
Hey kid, you did quite well. It seems you may be gaining some slight skill, but you have defeated only my phantom. When you fight the real me, it won't be so easy. What a worthless creation that ghost was. I will banish it to the gap between dimensions. And away he goes to the gap between dimensions, which we've never seen what that is, but it doesn't sound particularly nice. I've always imagined it as this emptiness, a nothingness between different layers of reality in the Zelda canon, which is pretty dark fate for a phantom who, you know, perhaps he was sentient, perhaps not. But either way, a new heart container. And with everything done in the Forest Temple, it's time to head into the light and see what awaits us. So the Forest Temple was indeed a gateway to the sacred realm, to the Chamber of Sages, where we met Rauru, where we were sealed for 7 years. And here is our childhood friend, Saria. Thank you. Because of you, I could awaken as a sage. I am Saria, the sage of the Forest Temple. I always believed that you would come, because I know you. No, you don't have to explain it to me, because it is destiny that you and I can't live in the same world. I will stay here as the Forest Sage and help you. Now, please take this medallion. And just like we received the Light Medallion from Rauru, the Sage of Light, Saria, Sage of Forest, gives us the Forest Medallion. Saria will always be your friend. So we return to the Deku Tree's meadow. Something new has appeared. I always love that. Hi there, I'm the Deku Tree Sprout. Because you and Saria broke the curse on the Forest Temple, I can grow and flourish. Thanks a lot. Hey, have you seen your old friends? None of them recognized you with your grown-up body, did they? That's because the Kokiri never grow up. Even after 7 years, they're still kids. You must be wondering why only you have grown up. Well, as you might have already guessed, you are not a Kokiri. You are actually a Hylian. I am happy to finally reveal this secret to you. Some time ago, before the King of Hyrule unified this country, there was a fierce war in our world. One day, to escape from the fires of the war, a Hylian mother and her baby boy entered this forbidden forest. The mother was gravely injured. Her only choice was to entrust the child to the Deku Tree, the guardian spirit of the forest. The Deku Tree could sense that this was a child of destiny, whose fate would affect the entire world, so he took him into the forest. After the mother passed away, the baby was raised as a Kokiri, and finally, the day of destiny has come. And now, you have learned your own destiny, so you know what you must do. That's right, you must save the land of Hyrule. Now Link, break the curses on all of the temples, and return peace to Hyrule. So, we've learned the truth that we are a Hylian, not a Kokiri, hence why we've grown up. But, with the curse on the Forest Temple broken, Kokiri Forest has returned to its original, peaceful state. And now, with the Forest Medallion in our hand and the Forest Sage awakened, we know what we must do. We must head to the other temples and continue to awaken sages, to fight against Ganondorf. Hi there, I'm the Deku Tree Sprout. Because you and Saria, okay, it's the same dialogue. But, an interesting thing about the Deku Tree Sprout is that this is the Great Deku Tree from the Wind Waker. So, hundreds of years later, in the adult timeline, we discover a new Deku Tree.
living inside the trunk of an even larger dead tree. And that is the Deku Tree sprout all grown up, which is a fantastic little connection between the games. But I'll talk more about that if and when we get to The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. But for now, that's where I'm going to leave this episode. The Forest Temple complete, we can head to other areas of Hyrule and see what's happened in this future timeline. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.